Yeah, good morning everyone, and welcome to the video that's taking us to the Simpson Desert. We left Adelaide bright and early this morning. We had woken up early, so we thought we might as well get going on the road and have a bit of spare time as we travel. And we're heading up to Hawker now, and that's where we're going to meet the group. There'll be 10 people in total going up to the Simpson on this trip, and that'll be 5 vehicles. Once we get going from Hawker, we'll head up to Oodnadatta, of course on the Oodnadatta track, and then we'll go across to Kadni. And between Oodnadatta and Kadni is the Painted Desert, so we'll have a look at the desert there as we go through. And then from there we'll go up, after leaving Kadni, we'll head up to Colgra, and that takes us into Northern Territory. And from there we go across to Fink, and on our way across to Fink we'll have a look at the Lambert Centre, which is a geographical centre of mainland Australia. Once we leave the Lambert Centre, and then we'll head over to Dalhousie, and that'll take us into the Simpson Desert. From there we'll head across the Simpson, and once we come out of the desert that'll be at Birdsville, and that'll be in Queensland of course. And then we head down south on the Birdsville track, heading back down towards Hawker. It depends how long and how many days we spend in the Simpson Desert and getting there. That'll decide where we go between Hawker and home once we get down to Hawker on our return trip back down towards home. We hope you enjoy the adventure that we're going to take you across on the Simpson Desert. We've got no fixed plan to what we're going to do each day, and we'll take it from day to day as long as we're back home by the end of the month, and that'll give us 2 weeks to do the full circuit. Hope you enjoy. There will be 4 videos in this series of us crossing the Simpson Desert. First with us getting there, and then crossing the desert, and then finally returning back to home via the Birdsville track and spending a bit of time in the Flinders Ranges as we go south. We hope you enjoy our trip as much as we enjoyed making it. I'm Mick, and this is Sally. Together we've been caravanning Australia since the 1980s, and more recently we started to put the videos together just to show you some of what we see out there. There's a lot to see in Australia, and we hope you enjoy what we have here to show you. You can follow us on our trips via the following social media platforms. If you like the following video, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. After meeting up at Hawker, we spent our first night just north of Maree, and the following morning we see a bit of rain on the Oodnadatta track. We have a look at Lake Eyre South on our way through, and then we set up on a creek bed just north of William Creek. On day 3 we reached the Algie Buckner Bridge, and it's at the campground there that we spend our next night and enjoy a camp oven meal. As we head from Oodnadatta to Marla, we check out the Painted Desert, and then we have some red dirt camping at a campsite just north of Marla. It was dark when we left our home here in Adelaide and made our way to Hawker, where we were going to meet the group, and from there, as a group, we'd make our way up towards the Simpson Desert. There was a total of 10 people in this group, and that also consisted of 5 vehicles. And of those 5 vehicles, we had a Holden Colorado, a 200 series Land Cruiser, a Mazda BT50, an Isuzu D-Max, and a Mitsubishi Triton. After our group had assembled at Hawker, we started to make our way towards Oodnadatta, and we took an opportunity here in a creek bed to collect some firewood for our fires during the coming nights. Not really knowing where firewood would be available, it was always an opportunity when you see it, just to top up and have a bit ready for when you needed it. As we reached Farina, we thought we'd go in and have a look, and it's unfortunate that we would not far miss the opening time of the bakery up there. That's only seasonal, and at the time that we were there, the season had finished, so the bakery was no longer operating for the tourists as they went past. And this is the main bakery here, where you can buy your bakery items up there should you be there in season. And of course this is the famous or the renowned underground bakery where they cook a lot of the bakery products. In this early part of the trip, the roads were in very good condition. We're quite pleased with that. And before long, we were here set up for our first night's camp. Well, we've just set up camp for the first night, and we did a bit over 600 kilometres today, and we are about 11.5 kilometres north of Marla. So we'll set up for our first night. We'll probably get the fire, well we will, we'll get the fire going in a moment and cook tea before it gets dark. And then we'll just sit around and socialise until we all go to bed, so we'll catch you in the morning. Our first night's camp wasn't far off the main road, and it was here alongside this little creek, and we enjoyed a great night sitting around and enjoying a beautiful sunset. Watching a beautiful sunset like this, and then eating a meal cooked on the open fire with the coals. Nothing gets better in the bush. Yeah, morning everyone. Started day 2, and last night we had a bit of wind and a bit of rain. Not very much rain, and the wind wasn't that strong, but it was enough to wake up every now and again. But everyone's up this morning and having brekkie, so once we get that out of the way and packed up, we'll start moving on for the day. As we left last night's campsite and made our way back to the main road, it's amazing here that the wheel tracks on the ground, they look like a road that's been used by a farmer or a grazier, but in fact it's only our wheels where we came in the previous night. And once we got going, we had a few showers of rain, but they didn't last long. Once the rain had cleared, the cloud cover hung around for some time, and here at the sculpture park there was a lot of cloud cover, but as we were looking north, the sky was slowly clearing, bit of blue, bit of white cloud, and the day was on the improve. When we reached Lake Eyre South, we pulled into the car park here in the viewing area and had a look at the lake, and it was nice to see with a bit of water here. I couldn't get too close with the drone because the drone was only allowed to be flown, as I understand it, on the western side of the road and not on the lake side, so I had to keep my distance to maintain the regulations and follow the rules. At this point in time, it was a great opportunity to do a bit of a photo shoot of the group that was travelling together on this trip up to the Simpson. As we were heading north on the Oodnadatta track, we took a left-hand turn and headed into what is called the Blanche Cup, and this road was pretty badly corrugated. It was quite horrendous actually, and you couldn't go very fast on it at all, but once you got it there, it was certainly worth going in to have a look. I didn't take note of how many kilometres it was to come in here from the Oodnadatta track. 3, maybe 5 kilometres, not sure on that, but certainly worth it. And then they've got this boardwalk that takes you up to the water that you've come in to have a look at. The Blanche Cup and the bubbler that we'll have a look at very shortly are both artesian mound springs. Once we'd left the car park area here at the Blanche Cup, it was only a short drive to the bubbler. Like the Blanche Cup, the bubbler's got this boardwalk that allows you to go up and view the water, and I didn't read anywhere there whilst we were visiting the area, but I'm sure that the boardwalk is there to keep people on a certain track so they don't go down and damage the ground surface area around the bubbler or the Blanche Cup. As we watched the water surface area in the bubbler, you could see the water bubbling as the water came up from the artesian ground. We were soon back on the Oodnadatta track heading north, and before long we were turning into Coward Springs campground. As we drive in towards the campground, the day use visitors car park is to the left, and we turn in there very shortly. And as a day visitor you can use the spa, and if you want to use the spa here, it is at a fee of $2 per person. If you're going to camp here at Coward Springs Campground, it's $15 per person, and of course that includes a spa as well. All entry and camping fees are payable here at the Coffee Wagon, and as well as that there are some tourist souvenirs and the likes. The camping area here at Cowed Springs Campground are very large, and I will leave a link in the video description down below on all these locations that we visit as we enter into the Simpson Desert. By the time we arrived here it was lunchtime, so it was an ideal location on our journey for the day, and allowed us to go to the toilet and take a bit of a walk around and have a look at the area as to what it's got to offer before we had a bite of lunch and made our way on from there. Cowed Springs is a former railway siding for the Ghan Railway, and they have got this museum here of the old railway building. All of the information that they've got displayed here on the walls that describes some of the history of the area. We didn't go into the natural spa on this trip, but it is claimed to be 29 degrees in temperature, and that's in centigrade, and it's very high in mineral salt. The Oodnadatta track may seem to be a long and lonely road at times, but it's only 73 kilometres from Cowed Springs, and we were soon here at William Creek. After a quick stop here at William Creek, we're soon back on the road again. There are more and more tourists travelling this road now than what there used to be years ago, but if you're going to come up here, you certainly need to have a vehicle that you know that's going to handle the conditions well. It had been a reasonably windy day for us today travelling on the road, but that did blow the dust off the road, so travelling in a convoy wasn't so bad. So now that we'd left William Creek, it was a matter of finding a suitable, protected out of the wind location where we could set up camp for the night. Hey, g'day everyone, and it's the end of the second day, or nearly the end of the second day, certainly the end of the travelling on the second day. And when we pulled up here along this creek to set up camp for tonight, it wasn't too bad. There was a bit of wind around, but where we set ourselves up now, at the time that we started to set up, it was quite nice, a little bit sheltered. But the wind certainly picked up now and it's blowing quite a bit, so not sure whether we'll have a fire later tonight or later this afternoon. It just depends on that wind, so if we don't have a fire and nothing else happens today, we'll catch you in the morning. As the day was drawing to an end, the wind did calm down a bit, so we thought we'd give the fire a go. As the sun was slowly setting in the west, that wind gradually dropped off, and it turned out to be quite a nice night sitting around the fire. And with that we woke to the next morning to a beautiful sunrise and very little wind. Hey, good morning everyone, and start of another day. And the wind died down quite a bit last night. Sally and I didn't actually hear the wind flapping like it was on our first night, so it's quite good sleeping last night. Went to bed early and didn't get out of bed at all until the sun was up nearly, so very good. We're going to stay here for a while, slow pack up this morning. We're only going on to Jakarta Bridge this morning, and that's somewhere around 100 k's or a little bit less I think at this stage. And not travelling very far at all, and then we're going to have a bit of a camp oven tonight I think, and no, been very good, so we'll have a slow pack up, a very, very slow pack up this morning, and then we'll make our way onto Jakarta Bridge and then we'll stay there tonight, so we'll catch you there. Our campsite for last night had us in behind these trees here, and there's plenty of campsites along the Oodnadatta track of course, but to find one that you want to use as a windbreak is few and far between at times. Our mornings were getting cold now until the sun come up, and it was always nice to get the fire going and try and get a bit of warmth back into the body. Our last 2 days of travel basically had us trying to chase destinations for the night because we knew we wanted to get so far to be able to do the trip in the number of days that we'd planned. But to be able to pack up a little bit slower this morning and start to get into the feel of just travelling as we wanted was great. With the road conditions of the Oodnadatta track still being very good, we were able to cover a few kilometres in a very short period of time. Our plans for today were to get to the Adelaide Bridge, which was only just under 100 kilometres away, and that allowed us time to have a look at the bridge and to go to the campground there, set ourselves up and cook a camp oven meal for the night. We leave the Oodnadatta track here and turn left, and that takes us over to the Adelaide Bridge. The Adelaide Bridge was completed in 1892, and once opened it was the longest bridge in South Australia until 2014. Unfortunately, due to safety concerns, you can now no longer walk and cross the bridge as it goes over the Neil River. The bridge is a total length of 1,927 feet, or in the now metric terms that's 587 metres. The bridge was strengthened in 1926 to allow it to carry heavier trains. There is a recognised campground at the Adelaide Bridge, and that's on the opposite side of the Oodnadatta track to what the bridge is. And here we go through a gate that we must open and of course close it once we've gone through, and we make our way down to that campground. The name of the campground that we're heading towards is called the Adelaide Waterhole, and that campground is located right on the side of the Neils River. We were very pleased to find a campsite like this. To be camped alongside the Neils River with so much water in it, it was just something we didn't really expect. In saying that, the Neils River is a permanent waterhole and it doesn't dry up. All that we had left to do today was to sit around by the river and enjoy and relax and get that campfire going so we could get some coals ready for Paul's camp oven that he was going to cook later for tea, and then Vicky was going to do a damper to finish off with after tea. Young Riley didn't need phones or tablets to keep himself amused out in the bush. He just seemed to play in the dirt with his toys as though he didn't have a worry in the world. I'm sure there would have been a few stories spun around the fire this afternoon, but as the sun was setting we had the fire going, and before long we had enough coals that we could start cooking that camp oven that Paul was doing, and alongside that was the damper that Vicky had going as well. Like most of our days on this trip, we contended with flies in the afternoon and almost probably all day really. Once the sun started to come up, the flies started to come around, but it wasn't until you get into that evening period where the sun's just about gone that the flies give up and give you a spell. Now that's what you'd have to call a successful camp oven cook-up. Once everyone had finished eating Paul's camp oven cook-up, had a bit of Vicky's damper, it's time to put the billies on the fire and get a bit of hot water going. too soon on this trip. It seemed as though one day was finishing and another was starting. Yeah, morning everyone, and this is a pack-up time from the Adelaide Bridge camping area. Beautiful area down here by the Newells River, and we haven't been down here before. We tried to get down here last trip coming up, but it was a bit wet and slippery, so we turned around and we actually camped on the other side, and we didn't realise all this water was here. But very nice. We had a beautiful campfire last night, so we're pushing on today. We'll head into the Oodnadatta Roadhouse, the Pink Roadhouse there, and have a look at that. And then we'll make our way across to Kadney Park, and of course that'll take us through the Painted Desert on the way. So not sure how we'll get or where we'll get to tonight, but only time will tell. So we'll catch you on the road. Once the sun was up, we had blue skies and no wind at all, and it made it very calm on the Newells River. As we're back on the Oodnadatta track, we're now going over the concrete causeway on the Newells River at the Adelaide Bridge, and it's only 55 kilometres, and we'll soon be in Oodnadatta. It's amazing when you research some of the history on the Adelaide Bridge. It was only in 1980 that the GAN stopped running trains along that railway line, and for some of us that only seems like yesterday. As we reach the Marla to Oodnadatta Road here, we make the right hand turn to finish off the last few kilometres to take us into Oodnadatta. Last time that Sally and I were in Oodnadatta was back in 2007, and it looked like a big windstorm had gone through the roadhouse at that point in time, and half of the Pink Roadhouse Oodnadatta name here on the top of the roadhouse was blown over, and it was in a poor state of repair, and it's very nice to see that it's been restored back to what it should look like. There was a short stop at the roadhouse, and it allowed those that needed to top up on those supplies that they were either short of or didn't bring along. Once we'd left the Pink Roadhouse here at Oodnadatta, we started to make our way over towards Marla, and that was going to take us out at Kadney, but on our way through we were looking to find the Painted Desert. There was a mix of roads on this one, with some of them actually following creek beds, and they use the creek bed as the main road. The Painted Desert can be found on the road between Oodnadatta and Kadney Park, and is 50 kilometres southwest of Oodnadatta along that road. Once you see these colour formations of the hills, you know that you're starting to enter the Painted Desert. The Painted Desert, although different to the breakaways just outside of Cooper Pedy, has a lot of similarities. It was the middle of the day by the time we reached the Painted Desert, so we enjoyed our lunch as we watched and looked at these amazing and striking colours that made up the landscape of the Painted Desert. There are walking trails within the Painted Desert, and they'll take you out through these landscapes and allow you to have a closer look. To visit the breakaways out from Cooper Pedy, there is an entry fee that is payable to go and drive and view the area. And we did a bit of a research on the internet before we left home for the Painted Desert, and we couldn't find any entry fee or day fee to look at the area. So if anyone can give us any different information on that there should have been something payable on the day, please leave a comment down below. After leaving the painted desert, we continued along the dirt roads until we come back to the bitumised Stewart Highway, and from there we made our way to Cadney Park. Once we reached Cadney Park, we refuelled, and we were refuelling as often as we could as we were heading north, because obviously the further north we got, the more expensive that fuel become. But as well as refuelling there, we all had a shower and made our way on after that. After leaving Cadney Park, we made our way towards Marla. And that was all bitumen road now, and that was very nice after all the dirt road that we had. It was only a few kilometres north of Marla that we found this suitable location that we could set up camp for the night, and we were now well and truly camping in red dirt. This camp location for us for the night wasn't very far off the Stewart Highway, but road noise wasn't an issue for Sally and I. Yeah, g'day everyone, and we just completed our 4th day, and we're just 5-7k north of Marla, and we've set up here, so we're nearly ready to light the fire now. The sun's starting to set in the west and the cool air's coming in, so we'll get that fire going and sit around and have our tea around that, I think, tonight. So we'll catch you later on. There was an abundance of suitable wood for the fire tonight, so running short of wood for the fire wasn't going to be an issue for us on this campsite. To be on a trip like this one and not to be able to have a fire each night, I don't think it'd be the same. And the other good thing with having a fire each night, that always leaves some coals behind, so you can stoke it up in the morning and get those hands warm as the sun was coming up. With the morning fire, it also gives you somewhere to be able to cook your brekkie. Good morning from Marla. We've just had the bubble and squeak cooked on the barbecue on the wood fire, so that was very nice for breakfast this morning. We're certainly into the red dirt now, and from here we'll make our way into Northern Territory and onto the Lambert Centre. Whether we get any further than the Lambert Centre tonight, we're unsure at this stage, but it doesn't really matter. As long as we get to the Lambert Centre, that would be a good destination for tonight, and that'll roll along nicely with our planned nights and schedules, so we'll catch you along the way. In the next episode, we cross the border into Northern Territory, and we see some very colourful flowers out in the desert as we make our way to the Lambert Centre. From the Lambert Centre, we go back into South Australia and refuel at Mount Dare, and from there we go to Dahlblack and swim in the hot springs. From Dahlblack, we start to make our way into the desert, and as we go across the desert we start to see some of the wildlife that inhabits the desert. If you like the video that you just watched, give us a thumbs up, and if you want to see more of our videos, click on the subscribe button, and once you've done that, change the bell notification to all. That way every time that we do uploads to our YouTube channel, you'll be notified.